So in this lesson today, we're going to talk about triangle congruence by angle, side, angle, angle, side, and hypotenuse-leg. That's what we're going to learn in the lesson today. So angle, side, angle. This time, notice that we have a side between two angles, okay? So the key word here is between, y'all. Included, it says if two angles are in the included side, included and between mean the same thing, okay? So that means that we have angle here, A, and angle C there, but we have a side between them that is congruent, and that's why this is congruent by angle, side, angle, okay? So we're going to move through these, and we're going to talk about what we see, what we don't know, what we do know, okay? So the very first thing it says here, state what parts are congruent, then make the triangle congruent statement and why. So what I want to do first here is, if there's anything in this drawing that we could mark, that's what we want to do first, okay? So I noticed that I could mark the other side of this angle as 90 degrees, and the reason I could do that is because 180 minus 90 is 90, right? Okay, so then I can also mark the shared side right here, can't I? Okay, so what do we see in this drawing? Before we even talk about that, let's talk about this. Let's talk about which triangle is congruent with which triangle, okay? So I got you out here, and then I'm going to the right angle, and then I'm going up to across the one tick side, and then to the one arc side. So I'm going to say triangle UVX is congruent with what triangle, y'all? So here again, we start out here, right? And we go to the right angle, and then we go up, right? So what is that going to be? That's going to be triangle WVX. Now, in the previous video, I went ahead and talked about all the parts first, and then I wrote the congruent statement. And sometimes it's easier to write this congruent statement first, okay, for the triangles, and then start talking about sides and angles. So notice we have this right angle right here, that one right there, you see it? So we're going to say angle UVX is congruent with what angle? So we're going to go over here. That's that one, right? Aren't those our right angles, y'all? So that's going to be angle WVX, right? Then we have a side, and we went the same direction across both sides. You notice that? So we said VX is congruent with VX, right? And then we're going to talk about, again, this other angle up here. So how do we name this? So we could name it VXU, right? Angle VXU is congruent with what angle? I started in the middle, right? VXW. See what I did? So that's going to be congruent with V angle, sorry, that's an angle symbol, y'all, not really, angle VXW, okay? So this, again, this is key, and our letters have to be in the same place, and notice that they are, okay? And remember, this is our reflexive property because we're going the same direction, right? It'd be great if I could spell, y'all. Math teacher, not a language arts teacher, haha. Okay, so now let's jump down to you try one. So on this one, what do you notice? And remember, if you've got more than one angle at a point, then you can't name that with one letter, okay? So this time, if we talk about this first triangle, we have triangle FGH, y'all see that, is congruent with what triangle? So let's look, we started with this one arc angle up here, right? So that means, aren't we going to start down here? Yep, so we got triangle H, and where did we go? We went to the outside out here, didn't we, next? I, and then F, right? Exactly. So now when we talk about our statements, we can make those statements correct, and that's exactly what you should do. So go ahead and do that, and then come back to me when you're done. So now we're going to talk about this angle up here, which we have to name with 3 letters. So we could name it GFH or HFG. So let's name it angle HFG. Okay, remember that middle letter is the point of the angle, right? That's congruent with what? So now look what did I do. I started with one arc, right? I'm sorry, started with 2 arcs down here. I went this way across the angle. Did y'all see it? And I'm doing the 1 arc angle. So we got to do the same thing for the other one, right? So I started at 2. So this one down here, we're going to start at 2. And we're going to go down here. We're going to grab that angle right there, right? So what were the 3 letters I did for that one? So this is angle F, H, I. And remember, we want these 2 letters to match, do they? F and H, they sure do, okay? Then we're going to talk about our side, and we had a shared side, right? Don't we have a shared side? So we should have put a tick mark on that, right? So that's going to be side FH is congruent with what? So we're doing this one. FH is congruent with what? HF. Right? So they flipped. You notice that? HF? Okay. All right. Then we've got another angle, don't we? Our 2 arc angle. So let me go ahead and erase all this so we're not confused. I'm going to put my tick mark back on that side. Okay. So now we're going to talk about this angle. GHF. So we went where there was no mark, right? So angle GHF. So look at our statement up there, our congruence statement. So we went from the middle letter to the last letter to the first letter, didn't we? So we should be doing that on the other one. So that's angle I, where was HF, right? And then H, right? So let's double check that down here, okay? Because we used our congruence statement to say it, right? So we're starting out here, going to the 2 tick angle, or 2 arc angle, and then going down there, right? So those are our congruent statements. And again, that's probably the hardest part about this, is writing these statements the correct way. So now let's look at example 2. So with example 2, I notice that, again, we have a shared side, but this time we also have some parallel lines. So we are going to have, because we have angles inside the parallel lines, so couldn't we say that this angle is congruent by that to that angle by the alternate interior angles theorem? Yeah. So at this point, that's all I could say. However, if I said that the vertical lines, vertical-ish lines, y'all, were also parallel, then I could conclude that the other angles also are alternate interior angles. Y'all see these 2 right here. And we were, when we created this problem, that should have been put there, y'all. So that, go ahead and put that on there. So now those angles also, because again, remember, this is a transversal, and if it cuts both those parallel lines, if this is a parallel line and this is a parallel line, can y'all see the alternate interior angles now? Okay, that's kind of a hard thing to see, but then that's what we're looking for. So on this one, again, we can say that, oh, and these were congruent, by the way, by what? Angle, side, angle, right? And we got to keep saying that, okay? Now this one, again, is going to be angle, side, angle, isn't it? So let's talk about what triangle's congruent. So let's just talk with KLN is congruent with what triangle, y'all? Triangle. Okay, I started at K, had nothing on it, right? So we're going to start with M, yes? And then I went to L, which had 1 arc, right? So I'm going to go to the 1 arc, which is going to be N, right? And then we're going to go across to the other letter that's left, which would be what? M, N, L. Agreed? Okay. So now if we had to write our congruent statements, we could, right? We have an angle. Again, remember, we're going to do 3 letters for these angles. So if we do our top angle up here, this is going to be KLN. Angle KLN is going to be congruent with the one that we already have right there, right? MNL, okay? And then we have a side, right? So we're going to say, now look, we're not going to move the same direction across this side. And I know that because when we look at LN up here, right, it is congruent with what? NL. And that is what? The symmetric property. Y'all remember that? Okay, and then we have our third angle. So I'm going to go ahead and do this in red. Maybe you guys can see it. So this one down here, red. I said red. This angle right here is our third angle, right? Or our second angle, sorry. So that's angle KNL, and that's congruent with, again, look what we did. KNL, so we're going to go MLN, right? Angle MLN, okay? So go ahead and do the you try and then come back to me when you're done. So this one just says, determine if you can use angle side angle to prove the triangles are congruent and explain. Well, this one has a shared side, right? So yes, this is angle side angle because why? We have an angle here, 1 arc angle equal to 1 arc angle, right? Then we have, oh, wait. Is that side between our angles? It is not. So you notice what I started to do. So I looked at this one arc angle. And for it to be angle side angle, where does the side have to be, y'all? It has to be between the two angles. Y'all see that? So this cannot be used with angle side angle. Now, it could be used angle angle side, and we're going to talk about that one next, but it cannot be used because this is the only side that's shared, right? So we can't give those one tick marks to these two sides right here because that doesn't actually say that, okay? So the answer to this question is nope. Can't prove it by angle side angle, right? Okay, let's move on. So now this next one says, state what additional information you would need to make the triangles congruent by side angle side. Okay, so we have one side, we have an angle, right, y'all? So we need another side, this on the other side of the angle. The angle's got to be between the two sides, right? So that's going to be the side there, and this is going to be the side here. So now look, I'm going to go from that right angle. So I'm going to say UW here has to be congruent with XZ, right? Okay, then if we were to write triangle congruent statements, wouldn't we say, let's start with V and then go to U and then W. So we went out here, right, across the one tick side towards the right angle. So we're going to start out here across the one tick side towards that angle, right? So that's going to be triangle YXZ. That's really important that you guys can do that right there, okay? Then the next one says, what additional information is needed to make the triangles congruent by angle side angle? Pause the video here. Go ahead and attempt this problem and then come back to me when you're done. Okay, so again, this is angle side angle, and the only thing we're missing is the side, right? So that side there and that side there. So now we're just trying to figure out which one of the statements is true. We know it's not another angle, so we can mark that one out. So QP is 2 arcs to 1 arc. ED is 1 arc to 2 arcs, so it's definitely not this one. Okay, then we got QR. Well, that's definitely not it because we don't have a tick mark on it. So let's check this last one. PQ is 1 arc to 2 arcs. ED is 1 arc to 2 arcs, so that's why our answer is D. Now we're going to write a triangle congruent statement. So I'm going to say QRP is congruent with, okay, you can pause the video now here and go ahead and write your statement and check it when you're done. So again, we started with 2 arcs, then we went to nothing, and then we went to 1 arc, right? So we're going to start with 2 arcs over here, D, and go to nothing, which was C, and then end with the 1 arc. That's what we did, right? So look, remember, this is 2 arcs, nothing, nothing, 1 arc, 1 arc. That's how I wrote that statement, okay? All right, so the next one is angle side. Now this one has 2 angles and then a side on the other end of one of the angles, okay? Now, look, you got to start with an angle and then see an angle and then a side. Now, this is sometimes a little harder for people to see because this time it's 2 angles and a non-included side. The side's hanging off at the end, y'all. So this side up here, GH, could also be the side, okay? But in this case, we have HJ and we have LM. See it? Okay, so we're going to go through some of these. So this one now, this looks really familiar. Didn't we see one just like this a minute ago? Remember, we always mark what we know has a shared side, right? So on this one, this time, look, again, we're going to go around the triangle. We got an angle, then we got an angle, then we got a side. Y'all see it there? We've got an angle, and then we've got a side. Y'all see that there? So this is going to be congruent by angle side, right? Okay, so this time we can say angle S is congruent. You know what? Let's go ahead and write our congruent statement first again, like we did before. So this is going to be triangle STR is congruent with what? We started with 2 arcs, went to 1, and then across the 1 tick side, right? Let me see that, okay? So let's do that here. Triangle 2 arcs, U, up to the 1 arc, and then we'll cross the 1 tick side. Okay, so now we can talk about what our angle. So we got angle S is congruent with what angle? Yep, angle U. And then we got another angle, right? Now this time we can't name this with 1 letter. We got to name it with more than 1 because we've got 2 angles up here. Y'all see this up here? So we've got STR. So this is angle STR. Well, isn't that the statement we have right there? So that means our angle, we can write the same way we wrote that statement up there. Angle, sorry, that's supposed to be an angle symbol, y'all. Angle UTR. Now, how do I know for sure? Look out here. We went from 2 arcs to 1 arc to the side. See it? That's the way we named the other one. And then what do we have last? We have a shared side, don't we? Did we go through across that side the same way for both of them? Yes, we did. So I'm just going to say TR is congruent with, again, look here, TR, TR. And remember, if we have the same thing written twice, that's the reflexive property, okay? All right, so now, this one says, determine if you can use angle, angle, side to prove the triangle congruence. Explain. Okay, so on this one, this is a little trickier problem, right? So on this one, first of all, I noticed I got a pair of vertical angles, so we would say these are congruent, right? Do you guys notice the parallel lines? So I'm going to extend these lines so y'all can see them a little better. And I'm going to show y'all the transversal that cuts those two lines. Y'all see that right there? So doesn't that mean this angle right here is congruent with that angle up there because they are alternate interior angles? Indeed. Okay, so now let's see if we can go around this triangle. So wait a minute. I see another pair that also intersect. Look right here. This is another transversal. Y'all see this right here? So this is a really tricky problem because we literally have 3 pairs of angles. Y'all see this? That are congruent. So what it's asking us is, can we use angle, angle, side to prove this? Okay. So the answer is yes, because we could go, so let's just talk about ABC, triangle ABC, okay, is congruent with what? What do we think it's congruent with? We started up here at the 3 arc angle, so we would start down here at the 3 arc angle, right? So that's E. And if we went to B, that's going to the 2 arc angle, so wouldn't we be going to D over there? And then we're going to the 1 arc angle, right? So that's C, okay? So now, if we start talking about this, and we're talking about angle, angle, side, we could do this a variety of ways, right? So let's just do it the easy way. Watch me, y'all. So we could go from this angle down here to that angle right there to that side, which means over here, what are we going to do? We're going from the 3 arc to the 2 arc, A, B, C. Y'all see that? So we're saying angle A, B, C is congruent with angle, what? The same one up there, E, D, C, right? Right? Y'all see that? And then what? Then we're talking about this angle down here, aren't we? So that was one of the angles. And then we did the yeah, angle A is congruent with what? Angle E. Y'all see that? If we wrote it in order, this would have been written first, this would have been written second, and then our side. So again, our side is what? BC is congruent with, look here, BC. Isn't it DC? It is, okay? So we can prove this, that these are congruent by angle, angle, side. We could also prove that they're congruent by angle, side angle. Y'all see that? Because again, look right here. We've got this angle, and we've got these angles up here, and isn't that side between them? It is. So we could prove them by angle, side, angle, or angle, angle, side. So this could be proven 2 different ways, okay? But it asked us if we could use angle, angle, side, and the answer is yes. All right, so the U try 4, let's go ahead and write the congruent statements. Go ahead and do that first. I'm going to go ahead and write triangle GHJ is congruent with what? Okay, pause the video. Let's see if you guys can write this statement yourselves and then come back to me when you're done. Okay, so G has got 1 arc, right? So what has 1 arc over there? K. And then what has 2 arcs? M. So I didn't go to, but I went to no arc, right? So K, L, and then M, right? Okay, so now look at this. Angle. So we're going from angle to side. Y'all see that? Angle to side. So this is true. Yes, it says, can we prove by angle, angle, side? The answer is yes. And this one up here was also yes, by the way. Okay. So now example 6 says, state what additional information you would need to make the triangles congruent by angle, angle, side. Now this one's tricky too because we have 2 different answers we could give. Because here again, if we go angle, angle, side, then we could say DE, right? And we went from 1 arc to 2 arcs, so we want to go from 1 arc to 2 arcs here. So angle, angle side, right? That's the side we would be talking about there, right? So we went from 2 arcs to nothing for DE. So we want to go from 2 arcs to nothing. So that would be IH, right? Now, this one has 2 different answers, y'all. It could be this one, or we could go the opposite direction, right? So we went from D to E. So couldn't we use the other side? So we could also use that this side right here was congruent. So that's like from nothing to 1. So from nothing to 1. So we could say CE, 1 arc to nothing, right, is congruent to what? 1 arc to nothing, JH. This could be potentially 2 answers. And the reason here again is because we went from angle, angle, side. Got this? Angle, angle, side, right? So there's 2 potentially different answers here. Obviously on a test, we would only give you one of them, okay? Now, the last one says what additional information is needed to make the triangles congruent by angle, angle, side. So on this one again, we need to look at a side that's beyond one of the angles. So it's either going to be RP or it's going to be QR. I'm going to have to look through the answers, right? So RP, this one right here is RP. So go ahead and do this. Come back to me when you're done. Pause the video. Do it and come back to me when you're done. Okay, let's try this. If I said RP was congruent to CE, RP was nothing to 1, and CE is nothing to 1. So that's our answer right there. We knew it wasn't an angle. Why? Because we don't need another angle, right? And CD is not, let's look at CD. CD, let's try that one, because it might be 2 answers, so I don't know. Let's see. CD, so from nothing to 1, or nothing to 2, and QR. No, that was 2 to 1, nothing, right? So that's not the same, okay? And then PQ is between, okay? So that would be angle, side, angle, and that's not what we're looking for. We're looking for angle, side, angle, angle, side, okay? All right, so here's the last one, hypotenuse. Is the side opposite the right angle. This is really important, y'all. So we're always, when we find the right angle, we go to the opposite side. That's what we're looking for here. Y'all got me? Go to the opposite side, that's our hypotenuse. Go to the opposite side, that's our hypotenuse. Now, BC and EF are a leg. It doesn't matter which of the other legs you get. So the leg is a side in a right triangle. That's not the hypotenuse. So for these, the first thing you have to determine is that it's a right triangle, right? So if it's a right triangle, you got the angle. Then you're going to look for the hypotenuse, which is opposite the right angle, okay? And then you're going to look for one of the other legs to be congruent, okay? So always look for the right angle first, okay? So this one, notice we have a right angle. So we have a right triangle. That's what we have to notice first. And we have the side opposite, right? And then we have one more leg right here, right? We have one more leg. So this is hypotenuse leg. It would be why this triangle is congruent. Now let's see if we can write our congruent statement. So I'm going to go Y, X, Z. So I went from the right angle to across the 1 tick side and then to the 2 tick side. So that's going to be congruent with what? We'll start with our right angle on the other one. So that's going to be B, right? And then I went across the 1 tick side. So that was A. And then across the 2 tick side, so that's Z, okay? So now if we had to write what these are, okay, so it's a right triangle, so that's first, right? It's a right triangle. So we could say that angle Y is congruent with angle B because they're right triangles, right? And then we're going to talk about the hypotenuse. So we're going to say XZ is congruent with what? AB, they're right triangles, right? And then we got one other leg, so we can say XY. So this is a hypotenuse. Let's go ahead and write that. Okay, and then we're going to say XY is congruent with what? AB. Wait, I wrote the other one the wrong way, didn't I? This one should have been AZ, y'all. My bad. This should have been AZ. I know some of y'all saw that, but the next one is XY and AB. There we go. Now I got it right. And this is our leg, right? So it's hypotenuse leg. All right, so there are 5 ways you can prove triangles are congruent. So we had side, 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 angle, side, angle, side, angle, 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 side, and hypotenuse leg, okay? There's no SSA or ASS. And y'all know what ASS spells. No but or but backwards, okay? So that's the way I remember it. There's no but and there's no but backwards. So SSA is but backwards, isn't it? So there's never that answer choice. Okay, so I want you guys to go ahead and state on the line below why each of the triangles are congruent. And remember to mark the additional information you know. So like shared sides and congruent angles, okay? So go ahead and do this. Pause the video. Come back to me when you're done. All right, so this first one, we notice it. I notice it. These are congruent. So what do I have? I have a side, an angle, and a side. Remember, we only have to go around one triangle, right? So now what about this next one? This next one is side, side, angle. I could go the other way, and it spells ASS. What did I just tell y'all about that? These are not, we cannot prove this with this, y'all. Not congruent. Can't prove it, y'all, because we can't use but or but backwards. Okay, let's look at this next one. We got to mark the shared side, right? So look what we got. Angle, side, angle. Y'all see that? Angle, side, angle. We could keep the closing the triangle if we wanted to, but there we go. That's what we saw. What about this next one? There's a right angle there. But I only have the hypotenuse. Don't have another leg, do I? Okay, so this time, look, we got angle, angle, side. Y'all see that? Angle, angle, side. I could close it. Got me? But that's what I saw. And what about this one? We got another shared side, don't we? We do. So isn't this going to be side, side, side? That was pretty easy to see usually. Okay. And then look at this last one. We got a right angle. Okay, now look, when we got a right angle, you always want to check to see if it's HL, okay? So we got the right angle, and we have the hypotenuse, don't we? And then we have another leg, don't we? So this is going to be HL.